to get you ready for that event next week. And Mike and I were just going over the real estate business evaluation. This is a good thing to do at the end of your year. It's got 10 categories. So curious if you guys are, some of you don't have your video on. You may not have it in front of you if you're driving or whatever if you're listening in right now. But these 10 categories are found in the coaching manual on page 70. And it's a really good way to step back and take a look at your business and try to uncover and discover areas for improvement for in 2025. Mike just posted it, right? I see
Yeah,
your
I posted just a picture of the 10 the 10-point summary there, and I also put the link to the coaching manual in the chat.
nice. Okay, so I hope thanks for doing that, Mike. I hope that helps everyone who might be away from the office or away from the desk. So yeah, this is taken. I remember putting this together a few years ago. Um, and it's just a culmination of a number of different seminars and through the years and just, talking with agents and trying to divide it up into categories so we could really discover almost like in an interview process what is what are the areas where we could focus on for the upcoming year. So I'm going to save the tips on how to, well, wait a minute. Should we reward those that are here now? We probably should, right?
Not the worst idea I've ever heard.
Not the worst idea. So if anyone comes in after this, well, tough cookies, right? I'm just going to give you a heads up right now. One of the contests, dive right into the 10 points. So the first one is historical results. It'd be really nice if you had your last year, 2 years of history when we start. So Mike, go ahead and walk us through what we're looking for to have as far as getting ready for next week.
Yeah, so I think, and I've been talking to Debbie, my OA here, because some of you may be reaching out to your OAs to get this information. But yeah, historical results. It is exactly as it sounds. I think I would encourage everyone to, if you don't already have a list of your transactions for the last 12 months or the last 24 months, I would encourage you to get that. We can easily print off a list of your transactions. We're working right now to get the exact report so we can find a report that'll tell you, listing versus buy and the client's name right there by it. We could definitely do that with listings. We've already pulled that report. And I'm pretty sure we can pull the buyer report very easily too. But let's get all our transactions in front of us, and then let's start going back in our memory bank and reviewing those. One, I think you should have a pretty good understanding of your percentage of list versus buy. And I think we would all agree that you want to be listing heavy. I think is every real estate agent's goal. And you should have that number in your head, and you should be aware of it. Number two, I think you should review who your clients were and what the source of those transactions were. This is a really, I mean, this type of activity goes back to day one of real estate. How did I acquire this client? And I think you should keep track. You should be writing this stuff down. Hopefully, a pattern will form when you do this activity, right? You're going to see, oh, I'm getting most of my leads through referrals, or I'm getting most of my leads through prospecting to my SOI. These are phone calls I'm making, or I'm getting some that are being referred to me. The process of the review is, the point of it is that you're looking for patterns in this data that can help you leverage these things. So don't forget though, as you're going through this and you're discovering or not discovering a pattern, things that you should also consider. You very likely have clients that you acquired, signed agreements with, but never closed a transaction. Make sure you're including those people too. Now, obviously, the company won't have that information for you necessarily. Well, .loop may have it, right? You can go back in .loop and maybe find those agreements that never culminated in a closed transaction. But you should have an understanding of that too. I mean, let's face it, there's some success in there. You found a client, you presented your value to them and they agreed to become your clients. You never closed a transaction, but you still had a lot of success there. So let's make sure that we are reviewing those as well. So if you're finding a pattern, great. If you're not finding a pattern, this is a really good opportunity to ask yourself, well, what pattern do I actually want? If I review this in the next 24 months or 12 months from now, what do I want to see? And I think most of us want to see more referrals. Very likely you had a referral or two in your business that you could leverage and lean on and ask yourself, why did this happen? And then attempt to repeat that process. And in your prospecting goals, you're going to be prospecting, asking for more referrals, or whatever the case may be. You may notice a pattern that you're picking up. You've picked up, you didn't do as many open houses that you want, but maybe you were very successful there, and maybe you should be doing more open houses. So with every single transaction, ask yourself how I got this person. Is this the kind of business I want to pursue in the future? And if so, how can I do it better next year? How can I be more efficient at this task? So anyway, reach out to your OAs if you don't already have a list of your transactions and start that review process. It will be very helpful. It's very much worth your time and can make your life a whole lot easier. So anyway.
Hey, Mike, also, you have to have your average sales price to do the reverse engineering exercise. It'd be nice if you didn't just guess on what that is, because I'm looking at a few examples here. It's amazing how just $100,000 in average sales price adjusts your income so quickly. So,
yeah. So every report that our company has pulled. So I pulled a report from an agent with their listings. It was a really easy report for us to pull. It included the seller information, price, and of course, this one was just all listings, like I said. So that is a good report. And obviously, we can pull every single transaction. And what we're trying to do is give you two reports, buyers versus sellers, to make it a little easier for you. I'm guessing that we can do that. We're still working on it. But there may be a little manual process of writing this stuff down and trying to figure out where it came from. But they will all have your sales price. And thank you for the reminder, Will.
Yep.
Yeah. The average sales price. I mean, that's a really another good question to ask yourself. Do I want to be working in this price range? If so, improve the processes that got you there in the first place. And if you don't want to be working in a certain price range, you need to identify that too. So anyway, what's
nice.
Okay.
Okay, let's thank you for that. I think that's pretty much it. Statistics can answer a lot of questions for us. Imagine you were sitting down with me or Mike or Sharon or Kim, your broker, and we were just having a conversation about your year. The first thing we need to know is, well, how many buyers and sellers did you sell? What's your income? Right? What's your average sales price? We've got to know really where are we starting from? What's our basis? You can't improve something you don't measure. We can't know where we're starting. We don't know our baseline. All of that is just so important, right? So the better you're at as a CEO of your business to know your numbers, the better you're going to be at improving those numbers. Okay. All right. Let's jump into the next one. So that's kind of our historical results. The general review asks you a number of different questions, and there's some really good ones that I like that my mentors have asked me. So if you remember, there's been there was a SWOT analysis. Anyone remember what the SWOT standed for? Anyone remember that? This is the culmination. I think I've been to like 40 real estate conventions in my career. That actually is probably low, because there were some years where I went to 2 or 3 every single year. And it's a 34-year career. So it's a lot of conventions, and there are a lot of really good takeaways and gems. But the SWOT analysis is strength, weakness, opportunities, and threats. So you first are analyzing what are the strengths of your business. We start off with, tell me everything that's going well. Like, what do you do best at? Okay. So what are your greatest strengths in real estate? And you need to contemplate that, because we don't want to forget that. Remember what Britton Covey said. It's not all about doing the things you're not doing. It's about doing what you do well, but better. Okay. So you strengthen your strength. I loved that message. Strengthen your strength. And a lot of times the strengthen your strength message is something you want to do. right? Because you're already good at it. Now, how can we make what you're really good at even better? It's just a powerful message. So don't get too caught up in all the things you're not doing. Sure, there's going to be things we could address right here that you're not doing that you should be doing. Yes, but if you skip over strengthening your strength, you're missing the biggest thing you can do this year is strengthen your strength. You guys with me? Head nods?
With you, with you.
Everybody? Okay, awesome. Okay. So identify what those strengths are next. So then we go, well, what's your greatest challenge? So this is, where are your weaknesses? And what's in the way? Just like if you're talking to me, what would you say? Write that down. Tell me what your weaknesses are. Now, the next one is similar to that. It's the repetitive problems you're dealing with. Like, has there been Mike just talked about patterns. We're looking for patterns of things that are also challenging. So have you noticed throughout last year or years prior that you're running into the same challenges over and over again? Identify that. Need to know what that is, and you need to write that down. This is page 71, everyone. Page 71 of the coaching manual. Okay? And then I'm saying, well, what are the threats to your business? And, we could think, satellite view, 10,000 feet, 5,000 feet down in the, what are the threats? There's always something that we might be fearing. And sometimes in these discussions that I've done, out comes the fear. And now we're dealing with fear, and it's not even really the thing, but this is a great exercise. Tell me what it is that you see as a threat. And then what are the opportunities? So SWOT, right? Strength, weakness, opportunity, threat. So now what opportunities do you see in 2025 that might be unique to you? There may be accounts, developments, referrals, larger, bundles of business that are out there. What do you see? Or is there, some listings or account relationships that you see are opportunities? Make sure that you answer that question because we have to put a strategy around that. Okay, so if you see an opportunity, then how do we approach it? And how does that relate to tasks every day? So make sure you're answering these questions. Okay, and I love this one. What are you hoping to get out of this evaluation? This comes from raising 4 daughters, honestly. It's like if I missed it, and dads often do with daughters, we totally miss it. Then I just ask these really broad questions. Like, if I were to say it right, what would that be? If I were to do something correct, what would that be? All right. Last one. If there was only one thing that you could improve, I like this one too, what would have the most positive difference in your year? It's a really good question. If you only did one thing, what would that one thing be that would have the most positive difference in your business, that make the most positive difference? You like that question?
It's a great question.
Yeah. If you only did one thing, if I could just blank, I would have an amazing year next year. So what'll start to reveal is now we could probably start the evaluation right now because we've already identified opportunities. We've already talked about what's in the way, and we already identified the one thing that would make the most difference. Right? We could build a strategy around all of this. We could put a daily discipline around these things that we've already talked about. So very, very, very positive stuff. Okay. Mike, anything to add to that overview?
No, I think this is just one part of 10. Just remember this.
Yeah.
So don't spend any significant amount of time trying to dive deep into these questions yet. Just answer the questions and get them on paper. And because a lot of these things do have to do with mindset, they have to do with organization, they have to do with planning, all the other steps that we're about to talk about. So just get this stuff on paper.
Yeah. I love it. Mike, is it okay that I can talk about mindset and then personal growth?
Swing away, Will. Swing.
Is that okay? All right. I'm really passionate about these. The longer you're alive and you're on this planet, I'm telling you that mindset really matters. And the way you look at things, your perspective and your attitude about things will directly impact the outcome of anything you're doing. Yeah. Yeah. I know you know that. It's like teach a teenager, what you teach yourself, teach people around you this same concept. If you're really ungrateful, then you're going to live in a world that's ungrateful. But if you're a grateful person, you'll live in a world with gratitude. And it's all about how we look at things. We can always see it half full or half empty every time. We can pick out the negative, we can pick out the positive. We can choose to be a good teammate, or we could choose to be a backstabbing person. We could gossip, or we could build people up. We could talk positive about someone behind their back, or we could talk negative about someone behind their back. And it's all about an attitude or a mindset. And I say this all the time. It may come out in the business discussion, you guys, but I've discovered something I think we're fighting. It's a big picture thing. It's one word that we're fighting. And there's one remedy, and it's one word. You want to know what it is? You already know, don't you, Travis? But we're fighting in society and in our even in Berkshire Hathaway family and in your business and in your world. We are all fighting division. It all boils down to me to division. And this why mindset matters so much is because how we look at it is what is dividing us. If specifically, if you ever find yourself in a conversation with another agent who blames the brokerage, it's division. I'm just telling you. And when you do this on a big scale, you remove yourself from resource. That's the problem. That's the disease. Because the resource is there to help. And in society, I'm on a soapbox. Sorry, it only take 30 more seconds. But I have gender that divides us, politics, religion, football teams. By the way, sorry, Travis, but BYU really did a number on Colorado. That was so fun to watch. I felt for you, though, buddy. I didn't really want you to lose, but I really wanted BYU to win.
Everybody today. Thank you.
But I didn't want my friend to lose. I knew that was a big game. But no, look at, I mean, don't we have division all around us? Us, them, they. Just watch how life goes. And what I see from my perspective is we try to build unity. See, unity is where the resource lies. So now we're here looking at our business, and what we all need are more resources. And the process of that is unity. We look around, it's like God said, the answer is in the person next to you. It's like, did it intentionally. You're not going to have all the answers, but your friend will, your family will, your neighbor will, your coworker will, your teammate will, and the more you have around you, the better you build that team of unity, the better your year is going to be. It's so true. And so the word for this year in 2025 to thrive is unity. You want to thrive in 2025? Create more unity.
Let me break in here, Will, to say Allison in the comments just said, I saw a long-term medical study that stated optimism adds almost 8 years to your life.
Nice. You know what? It doesn't surprise me that Allison would discover that either. She's a very, very optimistic person, very, very positive person. Thanks for sharing that. Yeah, 8 years to your life. I think I'd like to sign up for that, especially since women live so much longer than men. I mean, maybe that's our problem. Got to catch the other gender here. Anyway, thanks for sharing that. Yeah, I appreciate that. I really do. But if you look at mindset, and I know we're going to have to hurry through this, but describe your general attitude towards the business is an amazing question because out comes the problems that we're dealing with, Like someday, like you say, well, some days I just really don't like real estate. Some days I really like it. Well, tell me about both days. Tell me what those hard days look like and tell me what those good days look like. Rate your love of your work 1 to 10. What do you think that number would be for you? Do you think that if you really put 10, like if 10 was your honest answer, do you think that would translate into how well you do something? Oh, absolutely. All day long. So maybe the trick here is how do I learn to love it? And if I've lost the love of it, how can I regain the love of it? Because when you really, really enjoy what you do, I promise you'll get good at it. You'll get so good because no one has to tell you how to, you just do it, because you really love it. And describe what you're most passionate about. I love that. Like if you really like real estate, then what do you love most about it? These are some great questions, and I love to have these interviews. And by the way, if any of you want to meet with your manager or me and have these discussions like one-on-one, happy to do it anytime. Just fill up the schedule. How about this one for gratitude? Name three people in your work life that you're most grateful for. And three people in your life that you're most grateful for. And you could also dig in and go, tell me why these people at work matter to you so much. And I'll tell you what, if someone had, okay, I've asked this question. I said, tell me three people at work that you're most grateful for. And someone's like, wow, you need a name? You boy. Drawing a blank there, Will. Problem. Right? Right? But oh my gosh, if three, that's all you have is three, I could name 30. Unity. Mindset creates unity, and unity connects to resource, and resource is the value and the solution. It's awesome. See, Mike, that's why I had to talk about it. I'm so passionate about it.
Oh, Will, no one better. I wasn't going to step on you there.
Let's go to the next page. So personal growth and training. I've told you guys this before. One of my key mentors said, you become what you study. And so he said, what are you studying right now, Will? And I'm like, study? Who's got time for study? I said, I'm not studying anything. He goes, so you're studying nothing? He said, yeah, I guess I'm studying nothing. He goes, then you're becoming nothing. I don't want to become nothing. I want to become something. He said, well, what is it then? And you can, the result of you really wanting to become something is you're going to study it. You'll research it, right? Right? Yes. Head nods? Okay, good. Sure. All right. Thanks, Sharon and Kim, for the head nods. Zoom is tough. But how often do you study? How about this one? Describe your morning routine. How many of you heard me say if you want to improve your life, improve your morning? If you improve your morning, you can improve your life. I know that if I don't get my workout in the morning, the chances of me doing that after work are just almost zero. Because you're just exhausted. And you have more, so you can study in the morning. And this is only like 10 to 15 minutes. How many of you heard the study that said if you studied it for 1 hour every single day for 10 years, you will be in the top 1% of that thing in the entire country? 10 years, 1 hour, top 1%.
That describes my Diet Coke habit, by the way.
All right. I'm really good at donuts and Diet Coke. All right.
I also want to add something here, Will.
Yeah.
As we talk about personal growth and training, the thing that strikes me the most about our industry is that I think we would all agree that there is a large number of individuals who in our industry who do none of this. And we encounter them every day. And I think if this bugs you, you should be the change you want to see in the world and be an expert in your field. That should be your pursuit. And it's an antidote to the masses who just refuse to become an expert in this field. So if that doesn't motivate you, I don't know what will, but motivates me anyway.
Yeah, it's a daily routine, a daily discipline of study and improvement will improve your ability to earn money. And what's in the way is everyone's desperate to earn the commission and the check, generally speaking, in the industry. I've got to have a closing this month. I've got to have a closing next month. And so I got to go make a sale. And then they struggle. And it really is about improving their ability to do so. It's the sharpening the saw metaphor, right? Just keep cutting and you never take time to sharpen the saw. Your efficiency dramatically decreases. Where if we studied, we can increase our efficiencies. All right, now we're into leverage and time management. You want to take that one?
Yeah. Leverage and time management. I think on this one, I think my number one, if I only say one thing about leverage and time management, is the reminder that we get paid well to be expert in real estate transactions. Okay, that's what we get paid well to do. And I do see where agents struggle with their time management. They're doing things that are a huge inefficient use of their time. Okay, and by that I mean everything that isn't directly related to closing real estate deals. And but quite frankly, that's why you're part of a brokerage. That's why you have chosen to come to Berkshire Hathaway. So we can help you leverage the things and provide value to you in the areas that you don't get paid really well to do. You don't get paid really well to create a flyer for an open house. You don't. Is it part of this business? It's an undeniable part of this business, but that's not where you make your money. You make your money by focusing on the things that matter most. So when you think about leveraging your time, you should be leveraging the things that make you the most money and are the most impactful. And those things are directly related to closing a real estate deal. So prospecting, following up with clients on real estate deals, being organized around a real estate transaction, and talking to clients is the number one activity that you should be engaged in. So attempt to stop doing things that aren't directly involved with this. So leverage this company more. Berkshire Hathaway can provide a lot of tools for you to help leverage your time. So think about that as you are navigating your week.
Let me add a couple specifically. Let me ask you some questions. Is this the year where you need to team up with another agent so you can have 1 + 1 = 3? That's a question. Is this the year you need a TC? Is this the year you need an assistant? How do I delegate? I'm asking you what your time drains are. Tell me where you're spending all this time that's not generating new business. So is this the year where you analyze how you can delegate and automate and look at better usage of your own time? And in that question, do we need to hire a person who does the thing that needs to be done that's not our strength? You like when I ask people, why don't you do what you know you should? It's because it's the weakness of what they should do. They know what it is. It's not about knowing it or not knowing it. They do understand what they should do, but they're still not doing it. So can this be hired? Can it be delegated? Could we team up with someone who's good at this thing? This is why I love my wife so much, because I'm an extrovert and she's an introvert. And I'm a yang and she's a yin, right? I mean, but we balance each other out really, really well. I try to be confident and she's always reminding me I'm not so cool.
How dare she?
She's okay, Cooper. Anyway, look, it's great to have those different perspectives. But anyway, hire your weakness, okay? Something to consider. All right, let's do the next one. Organization and process.
Oh, is this one me too?
Yep, I think so. Yep.
Oh, okay. Organization and process. When it comes to managing your time, your paperwork, your marketing, if you can't describe in detail how you do those things, you probably aren't organized enough. Loop, by the way, speaking of organization, this person came in just to try to distract me.
Hey.
It's actually
I'm sitting over here behind this computer going.
Well, I'll say, as far as organization goes and having a process that makes their life easier, I haven't seen anyone who does it better than him. And I'm not saying that because he's in the room, but I really mean that. And I know that, and I can see that his organization, because he's been doing the same thing perfectly organized for so long, he doesn't waste energy thinking about how to keep track of a transaction. He doesn't waste energy thinking about, oh, when should I do my marketing? It's just something that is, he knows when to do, what to do, and how to do it. If you can't describe these things in detail, now is the time to start organizing your life.
Yeah. Hey, since Joey's there, it reminded me of a story. I went up, this is about 6 years ago, and I was up there, Joey, and there was an agent in the office who was new, and I don't remember his name, but he was a young guy. And he told me about his yearly goal, and he specifically said his goal was to beat you.
Good.
I know. And I was like, this is like 6 years ago. And I was like, well, that's an interesting goal to have, to beat someone. Why wouldn't you just say, I want to make $1 million, or I want to make a 500,000, whatever it is. And if you guys don't know who Joe Holden is, he's our top agent, not only in the company, but he's certainly our top agent in the Ogden office. He's fantastic. This guy could win the award for units sold almost every year. He doesn't get the benefit of a $2 million average sales price. So, my hat's off to you, Joe. You're amazing. You're really good at your craft, and you're a professional. But this kid. I can say that because he was at least 20 years younger than me. Can't you call someone a kid if they're 20 years younger? Is that okay? And maybe it is a little bit of a gut punch, but it showed you the naiveness of this individual. He said, "I'm just going to beat Joey," and he goes, "But I'm not going to do what Joey does." And I just started laughing out loud. I couldn't help myself. He was so serious, and he says, "I'm going to beat Joey, but I'm not going to do it. I'm not going to do what he does." And
beat me up. I'm all right if it beats me. I just don't want to be beat up.
Yeah, right. Anyway, don't you think that it really just comes down to what you do? It's like you're either like, if you want to do the same business as any of our agents, just go do what they do on a daily basis and you'll do it. So the question is really whether or not you'll pay the price and do the tasks and put the energy in. And Joey, you're an amazing example of that, and we sure appreciate your example, because you're an example of discipline and execution and process. I mean, you're just an expert. So thanks for that.
Well,
And
I'm so disciplined that it's 1:30, and Mike and I go to lunch every day, and I walked in here to see when he's getting off this call so we can finish our lunch, because you guys are interfering with our lunch hour.
That's not true. That's not true. That's
It's too true. That's the whole reason why I walked in here.
oh boy,
I'm just
how dare he?
yeah.
love you, Will. Love you guys. Have a
All
good
right, yeah, we love you too.
Hi, Joey.
Yeah. I think that was a little attempt to throw you under the bus there, Mike.
It wasn't an attempt, Will.
It was I think he's kidding you. He's learned to laugh too. Don't take yourself too seriously. It's a good trait.
Hey, the last thing I'll say on organization, and we can move on. Organization will relieve your stress levels. It will take down your anxiety levels. It can eliminate the time spent, just stressing about something. If you're organized, when you've completed something, and when you haven't. So strive for that.
Because you mentioned the word stress. I shared this quote on sales meeting. It was from one of my mentors, and it came up in my research of my notes over just the last few years. But stress does not come from work. Let me say that. So stress does not come from work. Stress comes from undone work. So when someone says, "I'm stressed," what they're really saying is there's things that need to be done that they don't have done. So let's remember that as we're not only coaching ourselves, but let's help our friends around us. When they say they're stressed, something is undone. It doesn't mean you can control everything. You can't control the weather, Yeah, but if you're stressed about something, it's because something is undone. So how can we help get something done? And the way that we look at that. So, all right. Next one's prospecting, right?
Mm-hmm.
In the business workshop, you want me to take this one, Mike?
Yeah, hit it.
Okay. So in the business workshop, we're going to come up, we'll break them into groups, and we'll brainstorm 20 ways to earn whatever number you want, your goal. So you'll put in your goal, and then we'll sit in a group and we'll say, what are the 20 ways that I can execute this year in doing that? A lot of this has come down to prospecting. Along with the time management discussion and prospecting, I wish everyone, instead of counting numbers and units, you do a better job of time blocking, that you would put yourself an appointment every day from X time to X time, and you time block that to finding new business, cultivating new business, following up with leads, reaching out for new leads. Okay, time blocking, number one way to start improving and moving the needle when we're finding people. So Mike said early when we did our historical results, where does your business originate? You CEOs of your real estate business, you should be able to say, most of my business comes from blank. So if I'm strengthening my strength, then how do I build upon that? Okay, so have an improvement in that category. If most of my business comes from referrals from center of influence, then we better be spending the majority of my time building my center of influence, my stay in touch campaigns, and cultivating the relationships inside my center of influence. So there, the next one, three tops of business are. What are my processes in tracking down and converting leads? Tell me about your process. I remember talking to an agent a few years ago, because I remember the town. But so they're bombarded with phone calls. They get a phone call, and all I know is they've got a buyer from Minnesota that's flying in. This is an agent from Park City, and the buyer is 4 million, 6 million. There's your price point. So how would you feel that if you took so many calls that day and you look back on your phone, you remember the guy's name, but you can't remember which phone number from your caller ID attaches to the name? You're going to call them all? Like, is this James from Minnesota? Okay, so what we uncover here is the process is broken, right? When I pick up a lead, what do I do next with that lead? What is my process? So some of us need to do better at that. And if we uncover that we're missing leads or forgetting leads or leads are getting through the cracks, then we need to have a better process in how we're handling those. And then we talk through that, okay? I see how we're staying at about 5,000 and 2,000 feet. We're not getting down into all the things. Well, what are the answers? Will, what should I do with these leads? So whole nother discussion, okay? The biggest problem with prospecting right now is not generating the new leads. It's following the ones you already have. That's you're going to discover that we got to follow up better with the leads we've already generated. All kinds of statistics on this, on how many average follow-ups it takes. Also related to this is, where did this data go? Does it go, where do you put this lead now? You got James from Minnesota, $4 million to $6 million buyer, Old Town Park City. Great. What are you doing with that? Where does that go? Right now, it's a phone call on your phone and a conversation. What do you do next? Now we're blending process, prospecting, time, like all of this is blending together. And this is a phenomenal question to ask everyone about, like, what do you do? What's your process? And if that process needs to be improved, boy, we better make that a priority. All right, next one, planning. Oh my gosh, planning.
So fun.
Yeah, I know. Oh my gosh. If I talk to 100, we're all going to talk to 100 agents this next week about planning. And I really, really, really don't want to be a chemical fire. Do you know what a chemical fire is? It burns really, really hot for about 2 seconds. And then it's out. It's gone. It melts everything around it. It's impressive. But it's out in 2 seconds. What you want to be is you want to have consistency around this. And if we could preach another really good concept for this year, it's to continually review your plan and then make adjustments as needed. But to write a plan and stick it in the drawer, or put it on the shelf, or put it in a pile and have it get lost, it's not helping. And frankly, I think I would submit that plan didn't mean a whole lot. So then I step back and go, well, how can we make these plans matter? And this is some soul searching for everybody, because so I have to admit, you guys don't laugh at me too much here, but there have been a few times where I really dug deep with someone and they decided, you're right, Will, I don't even like real estate. So, and they're like, you know what? You're on to me. I'm out of here. And I'm like, wait, that's not what but if it really mattered, I think we'd review these plans more often. So maybe we can come up with an idea that we review these more often. So the plan is, what are we after this year and how are we going to get there? And I think it's impossible to build a plan without telling me why it would matter and how you're going to get there and what it means to your daily disciplines. I just don't know how else to plan. We've had planning maps. We've drawn it out linearly, vertically. We've mapped it. It still comes down to those fundamental principles, and tell me why it matters. And I know I have managers on the call here too, but Kev and Kim and Sharon, Mike, if you're ever talking to an agent who doesn't know what they're after, I think we should tell, what are you going to do with it? See, the money isn't the thing. Okay. It's what they're going to do with the money. You know, like the purpose of a car is not to put gas in it. The purpose of the car is to go somewhere. The purpose of us generating money is to go somewhere with it. So tell me what you could do with this money. And now we discover like the reasons things matter. And that's become very passionate, very powerful. And we need that emotional energy to get our daily disciplines applied. Otherwise, it just doesn't matter. It's fleeting. You know, like I made a plan and oh, well, yeah, I made the plan. You know, so just see if we can work on that, right? You guys agree with me? Head nods. I
Head
see John
nod.
here too. Allison, you agree? Abby, Albino, Rhonda, you guys agree? Kim? I would love to. I really wish I could just sit down with each one of you right now, one on one, and tell me what are you going to do with this money in 2025? Why does it? What good could you do? You know, like tell me about that, and watch your face light up and your demeanor change. Well, guess what? We just discovered the vein. You know, there it is. Let's hang on to that. Okay, on to presentation. Mike, this is take the lead on this one. We've got two left, guys. We've got presentation and services and promises. So,
Yeah, we don't have a ton of time to hit these. So, but on presentation, I think if this goes back to asking yourself what your strengths are. If you don't consider the listing presentation one of your strengths, in my opinion, it's actually a very easy thing to solve. I know that every single one of you hates the word script, and I think it's misapplied most of the time. But the bottom line is if you can't describe your listing presentation off the top of your head without your book in front of you, you don't know it well enough. And I would encourage you to read through that multiple times. And some of your strategies could be really simple. You read it out loud, just grab your partner, son, daughter, husband, spouse, best friend, whatever, and just read it to them. Read your listing presentation with no style, no flair, flat as can be. Have them read it back to you. Do that 3 or 4 times. The entire point isn't to say the words verbatim. The entire point is to internalize what you're actually trying to say. When you internalize it, you're not ad-libbing every single presentation, because there's very few people who do a really great job at presenting that can ad-lib the whole thing and make it unique every single presentation. And even if you look at the best presenters in the world who look like they're going off the cuff, they're not. They're perfectly scripted and they have internalized their message and they can repeat it without hesitation and with confidence. And that's the point of the presentation. Be it with your listings or your buyers or whatever, you need to internalize these conversations. Okay. So ask yourself, do I really know the buyer presentation? Do I know every step? But also, I think it's a really practical matter that if you want to be an expert in this field and you don't know the buyer presentation front to back, that's kind of on you, right? Same goes with the listing presentation. And if a client asks you, well, how are you going to market your home, my home, and you don't know exactly what you're going to do, that's a you problem. That's your deficiency. That's where you're coming up short. That's where you can improve. We've all been there, every single one of us. I've stumbled through it. I've blown it. But the bottom line is internalize these dialogues, memorize them, and so you don't really need to think about them anymore.
Love it, Mike. Hey, let me inject. Look at your screen for those who have visual. There's the 8 chapters or segments of the buyer guide. So one of the takeaways from next week is going to be, do you know those 8? Okay, so they're pretty simple. You meet with someone, and that's the discovery. Tell me about you. We listen. We have financing and qualification and resources. So we have a lot of resources. So we have answers. Then finding the right home, constructing the offer, navigating the details of the transaction, like putting together your, all the details, how we get from reading the offer to close, navigating inspections, and then settlement to close, and then buyer representation. There's the 8. If you memorize that, then you can be authentic and unscripted, but you have structure. And that is the goal. have structure, but be authentic. You can't be authentic if you memorize a script. And not everybody wants to hear it the same way. Not everyone wants to listen to the same way, and you shouldn't present it the same way. If I, honestly, I don't know that as a company, our number one problem is our presentation. It was hard for me to believe that. I don't see any evidence to support that we don't get deals because we present poorly. I actually think it's not that we're best at it. I think we can all improve, but our number one problem is we're not having enough opportunities. We're not in enough living rooms or on the phone. We're not getting enough lead generation to get more business. That's the problem. I think we present pretty well, but every single one of us could be better at this. Because guess what? If I improve my ability to communicate, then I'm simultaneously improving my lead generation because people talk about you. There's just something different about you. You say it differently. I can tell you're educated. I can tell you're a professional. It's the way you handle it. Remember, we're trying to inject the villain into the story. And when I do that well, I talk about complexity of real estate, and then I talk about solution, and then I have value. The reason why transactions happen with us and our agents and you and in the future in 2025 is because people see value in you, and they don't see value unless problem met solution. So in our presentation skills, are we good at that? Are we better at that? Or can we get better at that?
Very well said. The last thing I'll add to this subject is that I believe, it's my opinion, that your presentation skills matter a lot when you go and ask for money. What you have just said and how well you've said it directly correlate to the amount of money that you are saying that you are worth and whether or not they believe you. So if that's a pain point, you get to the moment of impact where you're going, hey, by the way, all of this costs money and this is how much it costs, and you're kind of struggling through that point, maybe, I don't know, but maybe you can improve your presentation skills. Maybe they can be more thorough or
Yeah. Hey, let me give you an exact conversation that happened yesterday. Okay. Agent calls me and says, I got to tell you what happened. I said, hit me. They said, okay, I told him it's 6% and the listing is 3.2 million. You guys want to do the math on that really quick?
185,000.
Okay. And they said, wow, that's really expensive. And I said, what did you say? And they said, yeah, it is. It's even more expensive without me. What? Yes. Yes.
Like butter.
And she says, Will, I was actually surprised. I just said it so confidently, and I didn't jab them. My tone was just, yes, it's very expensive, but it's a lot more expensive without me. And I'm like, oh, that tells me so much about where you are as an agent. You understand the big picture. You can simplify the message. It's so true. If they don't have you, it's going to cost more. And can you do that with confidence because you really do believe it, because you're well studied? You've seen the examples, and when they don't have a good agent and what happens to their sales price and their days on the market and the negotiating and the terms and the vetting the buyer and the legal aspects and the litigation that happened. Oh my gosh. Yes, you do see it. So you can just with confidence say, yes, it is very expensive, but it's more expensive without me. I said, did they list? Well, yeah, I'm calling to tell you I got the listing. I'm like, yes, let's go. Let's go. And it's not because they got a listing. It's just because they did it right. So that was the gold medal, is the trip they took, the journey they're on. The last one is really all about keeping the promises that we make on time. Raising 4 daughters and having the dating process, inevitably every single boy would say to me, Mr. Cooper, you can trust me. And I would go, listen, son, let me tell you how trust works. Okay. It takes time to build trust, and you have to keep the promise that you just made to have my daughter home safely, on time. When you do that, that's another deposit in the bank account of trust. Well, let's think about this on every promise we made. I just talked to someone yesterday confidentially who told me one of our competitors, and they have a habit of overpromising, overpromising, and overpromising and overpromising. And they got tired of watching it. And it took them a while, a few transactions to figure out that that's exactly what was going on. We have to be the opposite. We have to be very proudly determined to keep every promise we make and keep it on time. And if something happens, we cannot keep that promise, that we own it. I'm sorry to say I cannot get this done today. I tried to. Here's the reason. Please forgive me. Can I have this done to you by tomorrow at noon? We need to own our promises because that's the best way to build trust. And relationships should be, if anything, built on trust. But trust can't happen unless we keep the promises on time. And so let's not over-exaggerate, misrepresent. I mean, really, over-exaggerating is frankly just a flat-out lie. And we're not that. We're honest. We're honest in everything that we do, right? You know, we have morals, we have standards. They can trust us. They cannot trust us if we don't tell them the truth. So keeping our promises on time. And this is so easy to do. You know, I'll have the key box on tomorrow. Photography will happen on Thursday. We'll have a sign in the yard on Friday. Open house will happen this weekend, right? I'll have flyers to you today. Like, it's so easy to make all of these promises and then not to meet the deadline. So I really encourage everyone to make sure that these relationships are lead generation. So look, in totality, let me put a bow on this. If the biggest problem is generating more opportunities, we can do that by actually having a better listing presentation, be better communicators. We can do that by keeping our promises on time to build trust, right? I mean, we're all talking about prospecting, time blocking, sure. But your best source of business is the people that you already know and work with. So be determined to make those relationships really, really count. And you do that by building trust with everyone. Good stuff?
Last question of the day.
Last question. Let's see it.
Yeah, Scott wants to know, what about being too honest?
Yes. Actually, I do have an answer for this one. And it came from an expert on YouTube, a TED Talk. And last time I checked, guys, because I had it pulled up, some of you heard me play this before, but being honest has to come with love. Like, I certainly wouldn't come up to someone and say, boy, you're sure having a bad hair day. I mean, those are hideous shoes. Okay, you guys, don't kill me with this. I know I need, a little entertainment here, but the other day, Tammy and I, we were at a family function, and, we had the paper plates and we're going through getting all the food, and I had sat down, I was talking to someone, and here comes Tammy. She's going to kill me, you guys. I shouldn't say this, but her plate was so full. And I looked over and I go, well, gosh, at least you don't have to go back again. I don't know what I was thinking. But yeah, I know, Joe. It was not good. Was I being honest in what I thought? Yeah, but I didn't need to say that. So honesty should come with love. And I got that from the top TED Talk on how to speak kindly to each other. 27 million views. And he talked about this concept of being honest, but make sure honesty has love. You shouldn't say everything you think. And make sure honesty always has love. So there you go. There you go, Scott. I hope that helps you.